questions and responses from tonight will be made available on our website at creativephl.org by the end of business on Wednesday, May the 18th. So tonight we have a lot to share with you. We have a full agenda. We'll try to keep it as succinct and short as possible. But first we've already done our introductions. We want to go over the goals of this meeting. We want to talk to you about Percent for Art. For those who may not be familiar with the program, we'll provide an overview. We'll also provide an overview of the Airport Percent for Art project, as well as the application process. We'll go through a typical Percent for Art timeline, and then at the end, we'll open the floor for you to ask any questions, and then we'll have some next step follow-up items for you. So the goals of today's meeting is to first walk you through the Percent for Art process. Then we want to provide an opportunity for you to ask questions about the application process. We also want to encourage local artists and emerging artists to apply to this opportunity and future opportunities. And we want to be able to provide assistance for anyone who needs it. Ultimately, we are aiming to make this process more transparent and to encourage all artists to apply, even those that may be new to public art or to the Percent for Art process. So just to get an idea of who is attending tonight, can you let us know by answering the poll if you have ever participated in a City of Philadelphia Percent for Art project before? And we're already getting some responses. This is great. I see someone put their response in the chat. If you want a quick, the poll should have popped up on your screen. If you can just quick answer it in the poll, it would be great. I think we have, do we have critical mass there, Stephanie?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have, it's a great crowd tonight. We have 11 people who have said, yes, they've applied before or know a little bit about the process, and 16 people, so about 60% that haven't. So we have some new and some returning people, which is great.
Wonderful. That's great. Okay, well, then, you know, the Percent for Art process, if you have participated before, the process is ever evolving. So this meeting will be helpful even for you to understand some of the changes.
Okay.
So the mission of the Percent for Art program is to commission beautiful and enduring artworks which reflect the diversity of Philadelphia's residents and visitors, its rich cultural landscape, its many histories, and the variety of public spaces in Philadelphia's communities. The city's Percent for Art program is triggered by city-funded capital projects, such as a new construction or a major renovation with a budget of $1 million or more. The program requires that 1% of the overall budget be designated for site-specific public art. So the restroom renovation project at the Philadelphia Airport has triggered an opportunity for site-specific public art with a Percent for Art opportunity budgeted at $130,000. There are more than 1,100 pieces in the city of Philadelphia's public art collection, and over 300 of those public artworks have been generated by the Percent for Art program. Funding goes directly to artists to make the project happen, and community involvement is a critical component. And I'll share a little more on that in the next slide. Selected artists are responsible for the design, fabrication, and installation of the artwork. And with the support of OACCE, the final product is a new edition of site-specific public art for a community to enjoy. So community involvement and input is vital in both selecting the artist and making sure the work is a true reflection of the people, history, and culture and values of the community in which it exists. The airport location offers a unique type of community. So you have both residents who live nearby and the many travelers who pass through daily. Community input helps to establish the goals for the art project, to also inform the semifinalists about the community and respond to questions that the artist may have, and then to finally determine the winning percent for art project. The percent for art committee is very important. They will provide strong representation from the community, from the airport staff and city agencies that include arts and culture administrators and leaders in the community of Philadelphia, staff members of the airport and American Airlines, the architect for the airport restroom renovation project, residents and community leaders of the City Council District. We're in District 2, representatives from the Office of Councilperson Kenyatta Johnson, and representatives from OACCE. So at the airport, there are many examples of past percent for art projects from over the years. So on the next few slides, we'll be sharing some of those past public artworks. This one here, Pink by Ava Blitz, is a vivid glass mosaic of digitally manipulated and abstracted landscape imagery. By bringing the natural world into the hectic atmosphere of the airport, Blitz hoped her artwork would provide a moment of respite for hustling travelers. This next slide, Ben Volta's project, Tectonic Quilt, was created in collaboration with students from Grover Washington Junior Middle School. And it represents the students' artistic interpretations of maps, flags, and political borders. This is a large-scale painting by Megan McGlynn, which is based on her memory of 5 cityscapes: Philadelphia, Hong Kong, China, Guanajuato, Mexico, Prague, and Venice, Italy. Each image shows varying architecture, culture, and color palettes to the viewer. And McGlynn states that this work highlights the airport as a passageway to a diversity of experiences. Light Pattern by Paul Santilleri is a large-scale painting on ceramic tile. For this piece, Santilleri begins with the image of a feather. And then as the lines increase and radiate out from the center, they become references to actual flight patterns across the globe, as well as linear depictions of cities that he has visited. Next slide. Right, so the My Philadelphia Story installation by Lee and Price showcases nearly 600 unique objects, each of which represents a different person's unique memory relative to their life in Philadelphia. So over the course of 2 years, Lee and Price conducted a community engagement process that spanned all city council districts, in which they spoke with residents about their time here, reflecting upon how the city has affected their lives. And from those conversations, passerby became participants, and they donated an object that represents their Philadelphia story.
So for this opportunity, the location is the wall between the entrances of the men's and women's restrooms in Terminal A West at the Philadelphia Airport. So these are the images that were pulled from the call for artists, and it's highlighted here in yellow anywhere that it says art wall.
I'm a kangaroo.
Let's just make sure everyone's muted before we get to the Q&A. Okay, where was I? The wall will be visible from the concourse so that ticketed passengers who use the terminal will have the opportunity to experience the artwork from the gate seating areas, or walking past the restroom area, or by utilizing the restroom. Artists have the opportunity to expand the footprint of the art installation beyond the 86-foot square designated wall onto the adjacent floor area. So I'm going to highlight those areas in the next few slides. Okay, so here we have the view of what the corridor is going to look like. And in the red square, it's enlarged in the next image here. So you can see the entrance with the men's restroom and the women's restroom right after the water fountain station. So the purpose of this public art commission is to create a dynamic and memorable entrance that will enliven the restroom and concourse. As mentioned in the call for artists, customer surveys have shown that a passenger's experience of restrooms has a major impact on their overall impression and satisfaction with an airport. The new restroom design will feature a prominent entryway with a wall that's an uninterrupted canvas for either ceramic, glass tiles, or other highly durable two-dimensional materials. So these drawings are of the space, the 86-foot square wall, which measures about 7 feet 10 inches high and 11 feet wide. So this is a view at eye level up here. Then at bird's eye view, you can kind of see where as you enter the restroom area, you can either go left to the men's room or right to the women's room. As we zoom out from the restroom entrance, so this
Is there a transgender restroom?
there will be, just not in this area.
All right.
It's part of the overall restroom renovation project, yes.
All right. Hold up. Sorry.
So we'll have a question and answer session at the end. We're almost done. We'll open up the floor to questions. Okay,
Sorry, my fault. Sorry.
no problem.
No worries. Okay, so as we zoom out, this is the, still we're at the bird's eye view of the corridor, and the area in the red is the possible area that the artwork can be extended onto the floor. We'll have the details of the specific square footage of that once we get to the semifinalist stage. So you can see how the corridor opens up, and the floor area is an opportunity to expand the artist's design and engage travelers and staff to experience the artwork before they would ever even enter the restroom. So the process for the Percent for Art application, apologies everyone, our train of thought has definitely been interrupted. Okay, so to emphasize in this round, you do not need to come up with a proposal for the artwork. We are just trying to learn your experience as an artist, your background as an artist. We want to know who you are and your connection with the site and the city. Part 2 of the application. This is what we call the semifinalist round. Part 2 includes when I'm sorry, I feel like I missed that. In part 1, sorry, going back to part 1, the Percent for Art committee, so the list of people that Marguerite discussed earlier, those people, that committee reviews all the applicants and they will select up to 5 semifinalists to move on to part 2. So in part 2, if you are designated as a semifinalist, you will attend a pre-proposal meeting, which is mandatory, and that's with the Percent for Art committee. And we will explain all of the necessary items that will need to be submitted in your proposal and the expectations of what is needed during the proposal presentations. Semifinalists will participate in community engagement events, and those have yet to be determined when and where, but it's imperative that the artists, the semifinalists, get a chance to actually communicate with the community and learn directly from them. The semifinalists will receive a $1,000 stipend to prepare proposal materials. And then when they actually do submit their proposal, it will need to include visual renderings or sketches, a written narrative of the concept, along with a description of materials, fabrication process, maintenance needs, project schedule, and budget. The proposals will then be made for made available for a community input period, most likely a survey. And then finally, we get to when the artist will actually present their proposals to the Present for Art committee. The committee then reviews all the proposals and will recommend a finalist. And the finalist then goes on to the next stage, which is further developing their design in preparation for art commission review, which will give ultimate approval of the design to actually move the artist forward into the next stage, which is contracting. So there are a lot of steps involved before we get to the final product. This is what we consider a typical and optimistic schedule. And for the PHL airport project, this will take us into about late summer and early fall 2023. We are currently in this orange stage, the community engagement artist selection stage, which lasts about 6 months. The milestones are in the next few slides, so I'll kind of describe what those are. But I want to highlight that with all projects, there is a design development phase where design revisions are typical and should be expected and may be requested at any time prior to being in a contract and after a contract is made. So this is an ever-evolving proposal or idea until it actually gets implemented into the physical space. The city of Philadelphia can only contract with artists after approval is made by the Art Commission. And the city's contracting process is long and can take several months after the Art Commission. So you'll see that 5-month time span. So it may be a while before artists actually receive the first payment. It's just part of the process. As semifinalists, all semifinalists will be asked to sign a terms of agreement form that confirms they acknowledge this upfront. And we have provided a sample of the terms of agreement in the application on Submittable. And I'll point that out in the next few slides. Okay, so you've seen the call for artists and you've clicked on the link to apply. And this is where it will take you. This is what the Submittable landing page looks like when you get to our OACCE landing page. Submittable is the online platform through which we are collecting all applications. You will need to create a free account to access the application, which allows you to save a draft before submitting. And by using Submittable, it ensures a uniform experience for all applicants and allows us, OACCE, and the committee, the Present for Art committee, a better system to review everything. And regardless if you have participated in previous Present for Art opportunities, this part is new entirely. So you've clicked on the landing page and you'll scroll down and you'll see that our office has a lot of opportunities in other areas, whether it could be for neighborhood programming or art and city hall exhibitions. This is the one in the red box that you're going to want to look for. The Present for Art Call for Artists, PHL Airport, Part 1. So you'll click on the Submit button. And when you do, it will take you to the abbreviated Call for Art information. Oops. The abbreviated Call for Art guidelines are listed here. And you'll see the links to view the entire call for artists that you can download and save offline. And if you scroll down, this is where I wanted to highlight. So the full call for artists you can download and then view the sample terms of agreement that, so that as a semifinalist, if you are selected, you understand what are the requirements. And then we've also provided a sample of what the public art contract would be. So the contract that the finalist, the one chosen to actually go through with the commission, the contract they will enter into with the city of Philadelphia. So you can look at that ahead of time and just kind of get an understanding. We wanted to provide this upfront just to further allow for a transparency of the process and allow the artist to understand what this process looks like through and through. So if you keep scrolling down in the page, you'll actually see the application form. and you'll just, fill it out from here. And like we said, you can save the draft and you won't lose progress, and you can come back into the application at a later time. If you have questions regarding the regarding the application materials, or needing assistance to prepare digital files or any other type of individual help, please contact me directly. The information, my contact info is right there. Or if you have technical issues with the application form itself, Submittable is available right here in those blue links. Okay, so timeline. This is pulled directly from the call for artists, so all this information is the same. And we just wanted to highlight this yellow event is where we are today. So we're very early in the process. As we said before, this will take us through, all of these milestones will take us through end of summer or early fall 2023. And as a reminder, there's other dates that I want to highlight. Any questions about the call for artists or the application process, we are collecting all of them up until the 11th, so next Wednesday. And we'll compile all the questions, the ones that come from tonight, the ones that come in emails afterwards, and respond to them and make those available online so that all of the answers are available to any applicants that are interested in this process. There may be new questions, especially because it's a new platform, a new way that we're collecting information from people. And we will have all of this available. The goal is to have it up by May 18th, which is the following Wednesday. And then June 1 is the deadline for part 1 of this application process. Okay, we want to open it up for questions. If you have any questions about the opportunity or the application, you can use the raise your hand feature or drop your questions directly in the chat.
And the chat has been updated so that if you do post in the chat, your chat will come just to myself or Stephanie.
Okay, so question that we have is,
I'm sorry, I don't see the raise your hand feature.
okay, let's see. So we have, oh, well, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
I wanted to know, I know it will be like the pre-approval stage, but will we actually see the physical space during that time? I know, like during the pre-approval time.
We don't have access to, we will have access for the semifinalists once, that'll probably be part of the pre-proposal meeting. We'll do a site visit so that we can see the physical space. Also, I don't know at what stage in the renovations it currently is, but it would be for the small group of semifinalists. If you happen to be traveling before then and you happen to be going out of Terminal A West, that's the only way to see it.
Okay, thank you.
So some questions that have come through the chat are, how deep or thick off the wall can a two-dimensional piece be? 1, 2, 3, or 4 inches? I think the determination is no more than 4 inches, otherwise it becomes obtrusive. Also, just making sure that it's ADA accessible. It doesn't impede too far into the pathway that multiple people who are chair users, or if they're people with strollers, that they can pass by each other. And as far as the second part of that question is, how thick can the two-dimensional floor piece be? I know that it can't be, I don't know what the certain thickness is, Marguerite. I don't know if you know this answer off the top of your head. We can get clarity on this, but it would also have to be a grade enough that is not going to be a tripping hazard or won't impede wheels being able to be pushed onto the floor surface.
Yeah, we will confirm with the architects. Our understanding is that the adjacent floor is terrazzo. So we will find out the properties of that material. And Stephanie, just so that you know, we'd also have a raised hand, but I know you're also reading questions. By Elizabeth.
Hi. When you guys showed those images of the entire area, you had a red outline and you showed from above the floor, but you also showed the surrounding wall like above the specified wall in the call. Now, is that open? I'm just wanted some clarification around that. I took a screenshot.
The floor area where, so I can probably go back to that.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'll just to also show the,
Okay.
yeah. So this area, the square, the rectangle here is marking, essentially if you're walking in from the corridor, it would be the actual.
No, I understand that. There was another image before this one that showed the entire area from plan view. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah. The one on top, the corridor. So
bird's eye view of this.
That's an elevation. So imagine just
Elevation,
a flat photo, a flat image of the wall. And so that red portion is just highlighting what's been enlarged right below, just this kind of capturing this area.
Okay. All right.
The wall is the art wall. The vertical section is that for the art is just the yellow portion.
And then the floor.
And horizontal portion on the floor that you have the option to extend onto the floor is in the next slide.
Okay.
Yeah, I apologize. I could see how that's confusing.
No, I just wanted to clarify that. So
I can make that change. Why? Because we'll provide this PowerPoint up online as well as something that can be referenced, and I'll make sure that that change is like maybe in yellow so that it matches more. This is the physical space for the art location, and then the yellow area where these entrances are.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah. It was that one image and I looked more at the image than at the writing.
For asking.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Tiana has another question.
Do we have to stick to a particular color palette, or we can just whatever colors we want to make the art?
Color palette is very broad in that as a semi-finalist, there will be a more in-depth review of the actual space and the materials that are being used for that renovation. So that can help determine what color palette you want to go with. But definitely a lot of the color palette in the airport, a lot of grays, very monochromatic range. So the brightness, vivid colors, vivid imagery is highly encouraged. Absolutely.
We have another raised hand. Ellen, you unmute yourself.
Oh, good afternoon, everybody. I'm glad the meeting could go through after we got rid of the silliness. This is a big project in terms of mosaic. I'm a mosaic artist. How about hiring an outside contractor to help you execute the design? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, it's absolutely available. Highly encouraged.
Wonderful.
And that is something definitely want to share, that if you feel like is a skill set that you personally may not have, but you have the vision for this project, the budget.
I'm a mosaic artist. I have the skill, I have the vision.
Yes.
But it's a big job.
Yes.
And you want it done right. It's, so and the budget's big enough that it would accomplish that.
Yes. Yeah. So for the general for everyone else on this call, depending on the skill set, if you want to contract with other vendors that could help complete the job or do the fabrication, that's available to you to use. That's part of the overall budget that's there for you to, hire and get those specific trades.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any other raised hands?
Yes, SLK Harlan has a raised hand. Can you unmute yourself?
Yes, hey, how you doing? I actually just wanted to know how soon would you know the dimensions of the floor, like layout?
We will try to get that up by May 18th as well.
Okay, that's all.
Okay, there's some other questions that came through the chat. So do you have a firm date on the semifinalist meeting between the June 21, 24 week? I think we did land on a date. We had to confirm that with the committee, and that is, I'll have to look at our calendar. I think that's the 23rd of June is when that's happening. I'm sorry, the 24th. So we'll be sure to include this in the May 18th information when we upload it. What is the flooring material in the adjacent area that the art can extend into? Will the proposed art be applied onto the flooring or built into it? Those are great questions. I think, so we said terrazzo is going to be the material of the floor, and the proposed art, that could be a question that will have to be in tandem with the architect team, depending on the timeline of when the flooring is going to be laid out. I'm not sure we can answer that right now, if we have a timeline for that. And then another question is this a regional call? Yes, we are encouraging artists from the greater Philadelphia area, especially since it's this airport location not only employs people from the greater Philadelphia area, but high, broad range of travelers coming through. So we highly encourage people who have a direct connection with the location to apply. Absolutely. Okay, if we don't live in the airport area, how do we connect with the community input period? So community input period will be coordinated by OACCE and members of the Percent for Art committee. We will work to ensure that there are those opportunities, and we'll also work with the airport, and especially since the airport is such a unique location that the surveying may look a little different than it would, like, let's say it's in another neighborhood in Philadelphia. But because it's the airport, there's a lot of travelers, a lot of people who are, it's a transient location. So we'll need to capture not just the community that is permanent here, that are residents of Philadelphia, but also those that are traveling through the space, which this artwork is for. How long is the project to be displayed? Is it a permanent installation? Yes, so Percent for Art projects are deemed permanent projects, permanent art. So a longevity of 50 years, 25 to 50 years. So think very long term, and especially when you get to for semifinalists, maintenance needs are something to consider as part of your proposal. So how does your artwork last? What care does it need over time? Are there things like technology that may age a lot faster than something that is made out of stone or metal? So those are all considerations you'll want to make as part of the proposal. And those will be, like we said, more specified if you're an artist that moves on to the semifinalist stage. Let's see. Are you prioritizing applicants who have not worked with the Percent for Art program and or the Philadelphia Airport? We highly encourage artists that have never applied before to apply. We know that there is talent here in this area, and emerging artists, should be encouraged to apply for something like this, even if they feel like it's a stretch beyond maybe gallery work that they've done, or if they've never done a public art installation before. This is a great opportunity to move to that next development of their career. So we absolutely encourage that artists who are not used to this program apply, because we want to make sure that the Percent for Art program is reaching new artists all the time. And would being an artist team who has worked with either organizations in the past reduce our chances? No, it would not. So if art is burned on wood, can a protective coating be used? I imagine so. I don't have the expertise to say what that coating would be, but I'm sure there are types of protective coatings that would help with maintaining the wood, especially if it's a high touch area. Those are considerations you want to make, like how deeply is it going to be burned into? Are there any other materials besides wood that you're using? Especially with it being a restroom, there's going to be cleaning carts that are coming through. It's a very highly sanitized area. Obviously, we're still in a pandemic. So, you know, having those kinds of considerations too. And let's see, have the materials on the wall for the men and women's restrooms been determined? They have, and we can get more information about what those specific materials are. I don't have them at this moment. And will the semifinalists receive a stipend to cover expenses of creating proposals? Yes. So the $1,000 stipend is provided to the semifinalists that are selected to move forward with creating a proposal. What's needed in the semifinalist proposals are they were summarized earlier. So it is the visual imagery, visual renderings or sketches of what your concept is, and a written narrative describing your process, the materials, what would be the maintenance over time, the budget, and your schedule. And for artists that are selected as semifinalists, that pre-proposal mandatory meeting is when we have a long list of considerations of when you are creating your narrative. These are the elements that need to be included in your proposal. Prevailing wages for outside help. We will provide, so prevailing wages is kind of the Department of Labor standard of what certain skills require for them to be paid. The city has a list that's updated every year, and that is something that we would provide to the semifinalists so they can consider if they need certain skill sets, certain tradespeople to do a certain task, they know kind of how to budget for that person. Can examples of artwork be in video form? Yes. And you should be able to upload that into the application form. If you have issues with that, I'll just make sure that that's an option, but I'm pretty sure we allowed for like videos to be uploaded. And then, is North New Jersey considered regional, part of the region? It's not a direct region, but I'm sure we get plenty of travelers from New Jersey. I think if you are able to, if there's a connection that you can describe with the area or with the airport itself, please do. There are the 4 short form questions that we have in the application, and that's where you can describe what that connection is. So there's a question of how deep or how thick the 2D floor piece would be able to be sunk in if possible, since it would need to be flush with the walking space. We will have to figure that out. I'm not sure. Do we need to include mosaic, or is it encouraged? We encourage 2D artwork or artwork that can be applied in the 2D form, knowing that it is a wall surface, knowing that it can't come out too far from the wall, knowing the high use space, trafficked area that is the restroom entrance. So if another form of medium is something that you have in mind, it does not need to be a mosaic. So some people just said thank you. And then there's a question of, do you need to be driving into the Philly area? Oh, got it. Okay. So the only time, we're still living in a virtual world with just how things are going. So there may be instances where there are meetings that happen in person. Maybe a community engagement meeting would be in person, depending on just how things pan out. Health, or environment wise. So we still have to figure that out, but a lot of this will be virtual. The pre-proposal meeting, if you are selected as a semifinalist, a portion of that may be in person. Like we said, a site visit would be helpful for those applying. So that may actually happen at the airport. And then a community engagement meeting may also be in person. And then the final proposal presentation day, when the committee is reviewing all of the proposals from the semifinalists, we would like for that to also be in person, and that won't be determined until we get closer, but that's not until October. Are there any other questions?
Stephanie, did we answer the question that's in the chat that says, do we have a firm date on the semifinalist meeting between June 21st to the 24th?
Yes, that is it's the Friday, the 24th. Will there be specific lighting for the piece? If not, would this come out of the artist's budget? That is a great question. That is something that we'll have to follow up about. If there are any other questions, feel free to send them through the chat. And if not, if you don't think of them right now, you can email us. You can email me directly afterwards, and that'll just be part of the list of Q&A that we include for the May 18th deadline. How many, okay, well, there's one more question. Let's see, during the application process, how many pieces of art need to be provided? A minimum of 5 and up to 10. And if you are applying with a team, as a team, we encourage that the examples that you select, if you want to showcase everyone's strengths, but examples that would most likely relate to the opportunity itself. So something that would make sense for the wall that is this opportunity. Okay. So just now that you've heard lots and lots of information, we're interested and hopeful that you would want to apply for this opportunity. So just a quick poll. From what you learned today, would you apply to this opportunity? Okay, looks like majority of you answered. Yes, overwhelming. Yes, well, we're excited. We hope so. That's the goal. That is the goal. I feel like we encourage more of you to do that. And thank you also for just dealing with, today. Okay, so thank you so much. We're excited to see your applications come through. And where am I? Okay, so last but not least, just a recap of the dates that we discussed. If you have questions, submit them by Wednesday next week to me. And we will work to respond to the questions that we couldn't respond to tonight, and include the Q&A for all of the questions that came through up on the website, along with this recording, along with the PowerPoint, and we'll have that up by the 18th. And then the deadline to apply is June 1, 5 p.m. Everything can be found on our website. If you have any issues, reach out to us, and we thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll stay on a few minutes if there are any other last minute questions, but otherwise wrap this up within an hour and you guys can enjoy your Friday night.